Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Thankful Thursday, June 2nd, and welcome to another new episode of Style by Stevie. Our very special guest today has graced the covers of Vogue, Elle, Glamour, and more importantly, Cosmo. And she was also one of Revlon's most unforgettable women. So, as an homage to Cindy Crawford today, I am representing for our girl, Cara Young, who is the definition of Black Girl Magic. And I'm so super excited and honored to have her here to do this interview. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite supermodels of all time, Cara Young. And I just don't have the beauty mark, so oh my,
Hiya. Hiya.
how are you? Oh my
Good.
God,
Look at you.
look at you. Oh my goodness, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Cara Young.
Hiya.
Oh
Where are
my
you?
God. I'm in South Carolina, but I feel like I've
Oh,
known you for years. I grew up with the supermodel. You were a part of the supermodel dream team when, because I grew up, I was born in the 90s, and I remember flipping through the pages of Essence and Vogue and Papa's Bazaar and getting in touch with fashion. You were one of the top models. So,
oh,
Miss
thank
Cara,
you.
I have
That's
to tell
kind.
you, yes, that you are the definition of Black girl magic. And seeing models like you and Naomi and Carol and Connie and Iman made me as a Black woman say, okay, if these women can appreciate their beauty, I can as well too. So, Miss Cara, I want to say thank you. And I'm trying not to tear up and get emotional, but
Oh,
it
I'm
is such
honored that
an
you
honor.
feel that way, that we did anything to make you feel better about yourself or any girl, black, white, or whatever. I know there was an inclusiveness that started happening in the 90s that helped people a lot. And a lot of people write to me and say what you're saying. And it does make me feel really, really good. It makes me feel proud of, that I strived for it, went for it, and everything. Because there was a time that I didn't work that much, that I do jobs and they just do the maximum two pictures on any girl of color, and then it started to, explode, and it was great.
And that time, the 90s, because during this time, the era, the supermodel dream team was yourself, Cindy Crawford, Linda Evangelista, Christy Turlington, Naomi Campbell, Yasmin, Tatiana, and watching George Michael videos and seeing
Oh
all
yeah,
of the
that was
pretty
amazing.
supermodels, it's just like, oh my God, this is beauty right here. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't pull the picture out. I had this picture on my vanity.
Yeah, that makes me happy. We're all friends as well. I mean, I don't know Claudia that well because she doesn't live there, but Veronica and I are really good friends. I'm godmother to her children, and Cindy and I are really good friends. And Christy and I grew up together in Northern California, but that's just, and I'll think, but my mom is from North Carolina, so I feel you.
Okay, yes. And when I seen the lip color, I was like, okay, she's got full lips like mine. So I said, it's all about beauty. Just you just don't know how much you ladies have inspired me a lot as growing up as a young girl watching the Revlon commercials on TV and flipping through the pages of Vogue and Essence and Harper's Bazaar. You know, it's like a little girl looking up to her idol, and
Oh,
it's just
that
such
makes
an
me feel
inspiration.
good.
Yes.
You make me feel like it was important what we did. That's really kind. That's really kind
Yes,
of you.
and let's go through because you've done a plethora other than Revlon and Maybelline and CoverGirl. You've done Vogue, you've done Elle, you've done Glamour, you've done Cosmopolitan, and you've done so many covers. And who would be your favorite photographer that you've worked with? Because you've worked with Patrick Demarchelier, you've
I
worked with
loved
so many.
Patrick. I loved Patrick. I really liked Peter Limberg. He was a little bit tough. Patrick always made things very easy. You always were going to look beautiful in his light, and he was a fun person to work with. That is an element that really matters, if you can have fun and feel comfortable in front of the camera, because sometimes it's not so comfortable. Sometimes we're really cold or really hot, and a part of that was a part of the career. But Patrick was amazing. Sante Durazio was amazing. I worked with Herb not many times, but Herb Ritz was incredible. Gilles Ben Simone was really instrumental
Um,
in me being successful. He was one of the first people to use me, and some people don't know that I did Elle before I did Vogue, and out of cover of Elle before I did Vogue, and people don't remember that. They just remember the Vogue one, kind of. But a lot of them were amazing. A lot of them that I'm not even mentioning right now, but I was lucky, very lucky.
And you've worked with a plethora of fashion houses here, because I'm a fashion girl, as you can tell from my Instagram. You've worked with the late Gianni Versace. I hate
Yeah,
that we're saying it, because he was so
I
pivotal
know.
in the fashion world. Um, Armani, you've worked with Prada, you've worked with Gucci, you worked with Isadine Alaya, Donna
I
Karan,
love Vaseline.
Lanvin, Saint Laurent, Balmain, Balenciaga, John Paul Gaultier. You've worked with a number of fashion houses. Which fashion show would have to be your favorite? Because I remember seeing the one back in the late '80s where Veronica was walking down the runway, and this was for Chanel, and she was eating a banana. All the models were eating bananas. It was like this, yeah.
But I'm telling you, it was fun. I ran into Carlene Surf the other day on the street, and do you know who she is? She was major, and she said it was so fun. We'll never have that time again. But I think people are still having fun. People are still loving what they're doing. I have to say, Azadine was the one that made me feel the most comfortable, because I was pretty self-conscious to do shows, and him and Marc Jacobs really pushed me and said, what's the worst that's going to happen? Just, everybody's rooting for you, so just walk out there and do it. So that was great. I wish I did more shows. I was more shy than I should have been about it. If I got a print job, I would take the print job over the shows, and I kind of regret that a bit now, because I see the camaraderie in the girls and how much fun they had together and everything. So,
And speaking of Versace, it's a picture that I had on my wall. God, I wish I could take it down. I didn't have time. But it's a picture where all of you, Linda had the red hair at the time, all of the ladies were lined up, and it's Versace in the center, and you're all wearing these beautiful, colorful ensembles. Versace 1991, 1992, I'm guessing is the era. It was beautiful. And I said, wow, all of these ladies look incredible in this. What was that time being like to be able to wear some of Gianni's garments, because they're so exquisite?
they really are. They really are. I still have so many Azadine things, so many Versace things, and to wear them, it was a statement, and people were very much about making statements what they wore, especially in the 90s. And it was just making a splash. You knew what you were going to do was going to wear, you were going to be a splash. And all my pieces, all my Azadine Elia jackets and everything, I still have. All my dresses, I still have. So that's how important they were, that in the 90s, that you still have something in 2022, so, and I still squeeze into them sometimes.
And it makes me so reminiscent, because I was watching Naomi Campbell's channel, and her and Christy got together, and she wore one of the gowns from Isadine Alaya. And Christy was like, "You still have that?" So it was so good to see them. Carla Bruni is another one. And this was during the time, when this pandemic first hit, to be able
Right.
to see the supermodels unite and get together. So could there be another supermodel reunion? Because I remember it was one at what was it, the Gucci show or
And the
Tommy Hilfiger?
Versace, right,
Yes, the
right.
Versace. Yes.
They did inquire about Prada this year. So I think that would be really amazing. I mean, a lot, like I said to you earlier, a lot of the women still keep in touch with each other. They still hang out. Christy Turlington and her daughter came and spent the weekend with me last weekend. And I went to see Naomi and her baby. It's supposed to be hush hush, but I went to see Naomi and her baby a few months back. And so people are still really tight. And I think that's people love the models from the 90s. To your point earlier, they still love that. They still know that something very magical was happening back then, and they keep it alive. And you guys keep asking, we'll keep showing up.
Yes, and it not only happened at that show, it happened at, shout out, oh, my goodness, we've lost so many pioneers in the fashion
I
world. Virgil
know,
Abloh.
I know. It's really sad. It's really sad. We did lose a lot it seems like a very short period of time, that Peter Lindbergh, Patrick Dumas-Chalier, Azadine, Karl Lagerfeld, a lot of them died. It seemed so back to back. It was, Patrick was a real gut wrenching one for a lot of people. Really, it was really sad. But Gianni will always, because it's not a natural death, so it'll always sting everybody. And he was such a kind person. You see how the women all regard him still and pay homage to him. And it wasn't just because of what he created, the supermodel, in many ways, because he started like making the show such a spectacle and paying more money for more exclusivity, and just had this bond with the women. And that's so everybody adored him. So it was a really painful loss that people still talk about to this day, and it still resonates with people, really hurts them to this day. So I think that you're right. What you think about, like the things that you focus on, are you're really on point. You know what you're talking about with how people are regarded.
I could not watch the true crime story on FX about Gianni. I couldn't stomach to watch it. I couldn't. I'm like, wow. And I've seen documentaries about him and how pivotal he was in the fashion world. And just seeing those colorful garments, there's like the nostalgia, and seeing it was Meg Thee Stallion and Dua Lipa and
Right.
Donatella come out on stage at, I think it was the Billboard Music Awards, seeing that safety pin. When I see that safety pin, because I know that was something that he was very significant on,
Right.
seeing that, it makes me think of what which supermodel was that? I cannot remember her name.
That
It'll
was
come back to
who
me.
Cindy wore that. Cindy wore that safety pin
Yes,
dress, and also Liz Hurley, the actress Liz
yes.
Hurley. She wore that, and it really put her over the top when she wore that dress, because she had such an amazing figure and had such a cute personality. So, but I think Donatella is making it still really relevant and really alive. And like to your point earlier, when she had the fashion show and used those five pivotal supermodels, it was, she made the splash all over again. It was great. It was great. It was lovely. But I love that you know more than I think. You know more things than I do. You really do.
I am a fashion girl to the T. So you ladies, I've studied you ladies' careers, the poses, even for when I take my selfies, I'm like, okay, let me do my lips like Cara. Let me do my thing with my eyes like Naomi. So I'm always studying. Like, I'm such a fashion girl. Like, fashion for me has been therapy, and it's been really helpful. You
Oh,
ladies have been helpful to me to get me through this entire pandemic, because it hasn't been easy. We've been in the house most of the time, so I'm like, let me go ahead and find a pretty dress or find something, some makeup or something to
oh.
make myself feel good, because it's stressful being away from family and
Right. It's
so
really
many
painful.
things.
It gutted a lot of people. Uh, what you do when you say you watch the models and you copy some of the things, I do the same things. I'll go, oh, Naomi lined her lips dark and put light in the middle. That looks cool. I'm going to do that today. And whatever you wear, it's all those little reminiscent things. That's what it's meant to do, inspire you to, look a certain way and feel a certain way for yourself. And it's to make it your own. So good for you that you do that. I love that you tell me that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I cannot remember her name. Oh my goodness. It will come back to me. She was a part of the Revlon Unforgettable, because I remember seeing the commercial. It was Claudia, Cindy, and another model, and I cannot remember her. Helena Christensen.
I knew you were going to say that. I
Yes,
knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
Helena
Yeah.
Christensen.
She was amazing. Yeah. She's amazing. She still looks, we live in the neighborhood together in the West Village. So I see her sometimes when we're getting our nails done or something. Yeah. She still works. She's still in it and loves it. And, she's a great photographer and really special. She has a beautiful son. She's a really nice person. She's a really good person. Interesting and fun.
Yes, and beauty tips. Let's talk beauty since we're
Okay.
talking cosmetics and things. What is your secret? Because I'm seeing some of the audience members just like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. I'm like, she still looks the same. Because
Thank you.
when I announced that you were coming on the show, I had to put the Maybelline commercial in there, and I was just like,
Oh,
this is what the '90s was all about. This
right.
is what beauty, the '90s beauty supermodel aesthetic. I remember the last show that I did last week, I had to channel my inner Cindy Crawford, and I gave myself a beauty mark.
Right.
So, what are some of your beauty secrets to staying youthful and just beautiful? Because you look absolutely radiant.
Thank you. I really believe that you should move your body an hour a day. I believe you should read an hour a day and keep time for yourself. I'm a big believer in self-care, massages, and exercising. And the skin routine, I've been using this stuff called Youth Corridor. And it's a health and beauty aid with cleansers and lotions and everything. And I love oils. I think that they make my skin look really good. So even when I was getting ready for you, I put like a little vitamin C serum on my face and then put my makeup on to, I don't want to look raggedy. I was like, what am I going to wear to chat with her? But after you, I'm going to see I'm going to Chicago, not Chicago, the city, to see Chicago, Pamela Anderson in Chicago tonight. So she's on Broadway and she has like 3 more nights left. So I wanted to go check it out.
Okay, okay. Because everyone wanted to know the secret. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this highlight in your career because you've had such a prolific career. The Prince music video,
Oh,
Kiss. You were the first supermodel in Prince's music video. And we've not only lost some people that are pivotal in the
I know.
fashion world, like Terry Mugler, God rest his soul, Gianni, of course, Patrick the Marchelier, Prince. What was it like
That's
being on the
awful.
set with
I
the
was
one and only Prince?
I was close to him for a while, and I didn't believe it when his birthday is June 7th, so it's very soon. I think of him when he died. I couldn't believe. I said, this can't, you know, it's reality. I thought there's no way he could have any kind of problems like that, because I found him to be so strict about, he if I have a glass of champagne, he'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you, that's not good for your skin, that's not good for your figure. And so I didn't think of him as being that way, but I guess when you're in pain, you know, you do what you have to do to deal with it. He was lovely, really, really had a very good sense of humor, a, a very observant person, like watched everything, knew everyone. When I did that, I wasn't a big model when I did that video. I was really young. I was a teenager. And when I did that video, there was hundreds of us at the casting, right? And I think that they picked me because I was small, because he's small, and they picked me because my shoulders aren't big, and they didn't want, like, a lot of the really good dancers, some of the girls that danced in the video were bigger than him, and him and I got along well. I thought he was really strict about, like, he wanted me to wear glasses, and I said, oh, you think it's because I look prettier than you? He's like, shut up. Shut up. And so I didn't know at that time that things weren't about you. I thought, I don't want to wear red lipstick, I don't want to do this. And he's like, well, it's my video and I'm paying all of this for it, so you actually are going to wear red lipstick. So he was really fun, really smart. I would see him in Paris sometimes and in New York sometimes. He loved clubs, he loved to go dancing, and he was just like, you would think that he wouldn't go someplace, but he would go out in LA, out in New York. And you know, he was a really fun person. It breaks my heart what happened with him. He definitely was gone too soon, definitely. So, but he was a lovely, lovely man. I was really crazy about him. I was really crazy about him. He is missed. I'm sure you all feel it. You know, he's really funny and cute, and he had a good sense of humor. And I loved him growing up. When I was a kid in high school, my friends and I were obsessed with him. And then when I did the video, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that they picked me. And then there was people that didn't know that it was me. And one time I was at the gym and I saw RuPaul, and he goes, "Is that you in Kiss video?" And I go, "Yes." And so it was an honor to me. It lasted. You know, it's a long time ago that I did that, and it's lasted. People still bring it up and talk about it. So I'm definitely proud of that. Thank you for knowing that, though.
Thank you, Bobo. Bobo is another one, pivotal and supporting of you in your fashion career. Not only do I admire the model that you are, but you're also a businesswoman as well too. You part own a hair salon. You have a hair
Yes.
company. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I think I'm like you. The self-care and the beauty I love. So my son's 14. 14 years ago, my friend Anthony Dick and I started a hair product line because we as women, we love our hair.
Yeah.
We didn't always know how to take care of our hair properly. I didn't defend my own hair. I had, like, my hair was burned back to here. I would relax my hair and lighten it. So I didn't know what to do. And I just said, someone said they wanted to do something, I would just say, oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. And I didn't know better. So when I started slowing down my career, I thought, let's do a hair product that's kind to your hair. That's,
Mm,
you know, because our hair is like our skin. You want to take care of your hair like your face.
gently.
It's the same kind of, it's the same skin. You feel the same way. And, you know, so I did that for a long time. I'm less of a partner now than I was. They're more on their own. And then I started working for this company, Youth Corridor, and they hired me because of the same thing with Hair Rules, because it was something that I knew about, something that I experienced, how to promote them and talk about them. And they knew my philosophy of the kindness and not being harsh on your skin or your hair. or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, I still over bleach my hair sometimes, but it's, with baby steps.
And it looks so healthy. It looks
Thank you.
luscious and it looks
I'm
full.
lucky. It does. I just did it before you. I just had it done before you. So I wanted, but now it looks like there's going to be a thunderstorm. So it might be
Oh,
waste.
and I remember I did an interview with Connie Fleming, who's walked in one of Manfred Terry Mugler's show, and
Mm,
she was saying back in the day, models would have to provide their own makeup. Models
right.
would have to bring their own hair products. They would have to bring their own everything. And I remember Tyra Banks even said something to the same extent as well, too. Even Naomi, like you would have to bring your own. And then thank God for Iman. Iman created her own makeup line for models and
It's
women
really
of
nice
color.
too. It's
So
really nice
when I
too. Her
think of
makeup,
Yes, when I think of supermodel moguls, I think of you, Cara. I think of Tyra. Tyra has her makeup
definitely
collection. I think of Cindy. Cindy has meaningful beauty. Naomi
amazing.
has her fragrances. Like, how do you find that balance with being a supermodel and a mogul? And you're a mom. So how do you do it? And you have to look beautiful, I know, on the photo shoots 24 hours a day. So how do you find that balance?
Because you always want to diversify and have more things going on, and it's interesting, and you get approached sometimes and things like I love, like you, I love makeup, and my oldest son is a photographer. And these girls, I say, to your point earlier, I said, we all knew how to do our makeup and they don't. How do you put on mascara? What do I do? They don't have anything. They don't have makeups or bases or anything. So I started doing makeup for him a little bit on his shoots when there's a really young girl, and their moms, when they see me, they're like, oh my God, I'll leave. I'm going to go shopping for the day in New York. Well, and so it's fun. I've always liked makeup like you. I loved makeup. I loved doing hair and makeup. I grew up, my mom's Southern, and I grew up with like getting dolled up, and you get dolled up to go to dinner, you get dolled up to go places. And I will always like that. My idols were always those people who really tried and not overdid it, but definitely cared about the way that they looked. It's the Southern way.
And you ladies sell the products because for years I have been using, of course, I use Dior and Chanel and
Right.
all of these and Armani, all of these other makeup brands, but
I do too.
Revlon I have been using for years, like the Color Stay lipsticks. And I remember seeing Cindy in the commercials, and then Holly Berry. When I think of the models of color, because I'm like, these girls look like me. It was yourself, Holly Berry, and Veronica Webb. And then you
Oh,
have Beverly Johnson.
right.
Um, I remember looking through Essence, and it was in the 80s, and they had the wild hair, and she's wearing the silver. I wish I could find that picture. And they were
I know
advertising
that
for,
picture. I know
yeah,
that picture. What you're talking about, the Revlon Most Unforgettable Women in the World,
yes,
is
the most
that
unforgettable
campaign
woman.
changed. That changed. If you got that, it was as good as getting a cover. You were going to definitely do really, really well. That was a huge game changer for all of us models. That Richard Avedon shot and put all these girls from different places, different countries together. And I know the one that you're talking about. It's with Louise Vienne, and
Yes.
I know the one that you're talking about. I might be able to dig it up for you somewhere. I might
And
have that.
then when
That's
you
really nice.
unfold this one, you see all of the models.
Yeah.
And it's just like you have something for every woman of every hue. So Revlon really catered to every woman of every skin tone, and that's what I loved about it, is the
You're
fact
right.
that
They
you
did do that.
it was
They
so
were the
inclusive.
first ones to publicize everybody. And when we did that, just that ad, just doing that ad, I remember they filmed every part of us, every part of your skin, every part of your body. And I'd never done a print ad that they filmed us beforehand because they wanted to make sure, to get the right people for the job. And they did, obviously. And I was lucky to
And
be
it
a part
turned
of
out
it.
beautiful.
Thank you. Matthew Ralston shot that, and Kevin Aucoin did the makeup. Like when you say that dark
Crystal
lip,
clear.
I know he was a sweetheart. So he did the makeup, and I said, "Can I not have my lips so dark?" But when you say, "Oh, I love that your lips are so dark," you can't. He was the boss. You couldn't. If he wanted to do something, that was that. He was going to do what he wanted to do. So I was,
And
yeah, he was lucky.
he's worked with so many names in the industry, Kevin O'Quine. When I think of Kevin O'Quine, I think Cindy Crawford. I think Linda Evangelista on the cover of Allure, and she had the yellow jacket and the red short hair. It was cropped. I said, oh
So
my
sweet.
goodness. Oh. he was so pivotal also in
Yes.
the fashion world as well too, and in the beauty world.
He changed the world. He definitely changed fashion and beauty, and he was incredible. He's another one that was gone too soon. And a really fun, creative person to work with. We do like behind the scenes movies and videos and pictures. He was really fun. And he's missed. He's really missed. Wayne Scott
Shout
Lucas
out
worked on
to
that
Bobo.
Revlon too. Do you know Wayne Scott Lucas from the Janet Jackson video?
Yes.
He did that. He did all of those Revlon things. And that one with all the long one with all eight of us. He styled that whole thing. And then he sort of dumped that. He sort of stopped doing that to do music videos and follow people on music tours and that. So he dumped
And
us models for.
when I play with makeup, I always do the flesh tones. As you guys can see today,
Oh,
the monochromatic, because the 90s was all about the monochromatic. It's literally gifts and memes of um the supermodel Yasmin, and she's doing her makeup. Like, I remember Tyra did an interview and she was talking about Yasmin and how models have to find their perfect lighting when it
right,
comes to makeup. Get up at a certain hour to do their makeup because the lighting was always right. And especially for shows backstage, you have to
right.
make sure that your hair and makeup. So what were those days like for you, Cara? Being able to do it all, kind of teach yourself about it.
I did not like. You're right. The light was important, and the early morning light is the best light, and the end of the day light. So getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning to do your hair and makeup was not my favorite thing to do, but that is what we did, and that was for the beauty of the photos because the harsh light doesn't. No one. If you're 12 years old, you might look good in that light, but that's it. You have to work as a team. That's why I mentioned who was involved in it. That's why I mentioned the photographer, the hair, and the makeup because they help create something. They create it, and I feel like it is something that's artistic. I feel like it is art, and I could tell by the way you talk about it that you feel the same. So it's really like fun to talk to you about these things because you're so well versed on it. You know everybody. People that I'm like, oh yeah, she was amazing.
I said, I'm a fashion girl, and I've studied you ladies throughout my childhood. And
Oh.
I'm trying not to fangirl out. I had to keep it composed and professional because I'm like, she's one of my favorite supermodels. And
Oh.
shout out to Bobo. Bobo gave me some amazing
Oh,
facts
he
and
did.
FYI
Oh.
too. Cara was the first supermodel with the Vogue Summer Tomboy look, and he also says that you need a lipstick of Kiss named after Prince.
Oh yeah, he asked me to do that. That's right. Sometimes I send him a little kiss like that. He is funny. He's like you. He knows everything. He knows things. I'm like, I didn't know that. I don't recall that. Or you're too young to remember that. But he knows because as an observer, you're different than you being in it. We were concerned with what we were doing, and I didn't know what other shoots and other things were going on. But he knows all of that stuff, like you.
Yes, and he said that you were had the first tomboy look for Vogue and LGBT activists. And June is Pride Month, so happy
I
Pride
know.
Month to everyone that is watching.
Happy Pride Month. I'm in the West Village and we're living it. Yesterday was the first day and it was really good. My son and I shot that Lena Bloom, the one that was on the cover of Sports
Oh yeah,
Illustrated.
Fourth
We shot her 4 years ago for Pride magazine, right in our house. I did her hair and her makeup. We walked around and she was like playing with my dogs. We went in front of stone. Well, it was amazing. So she's another one like you. She knows everything, everybody that's ever, been anywhere. She knows like random little facts. It's really sweet.
And thank you, Bobo, for mentioning that because when I think of LGBT and just creativity and freedom, I think of George Michael and the
Right.
supermodels back in the day because he was big on this. He spoke through his music about the time that we're in, the climate that we're in for LGBT rights. And
He did.
um, it's a scene in one of his music videos where it was Linda and Christy, and they took a safety pin and they pricked their fingers. And I did not know that that was for HIV awareness. And they said they had to do it several times. They had to go in and use Vaseline and clean their fingers. So I did not know, but now I know. And again, Miss Cara, I thank you as a member of the LGBTQ community. I thank you, Cindy. I thank Naomi. I thank Linda. I thank Tatiana. I thank all of you ladies for speaking up for us in the LGBTQ community. And not only that, but giving the voice to the voiceless.
Oh, it's lovely to spend time with you. And we can talk after this. We can keep in touch with each other. If you have anything else you think of and you want to say to me, let me know. But guess what? I didn't know that prick finger until you just told me. So thank you for sharing that. I had no idea of that. It makes sense now. Now it was a hidden message in it. I get it now. That's awesome.
Yes, and in Vogue magazine, they redid it. They redid Freedom, and it showed people from different angles in the LG. Yeah, so they
Okay.
kind of rebooted it, but it wasn't with the supermodels. It was like the generation. My last question for you, and I'm gonna let you go because I can't
Okay.
keep her, ladies and gentlemen. Was, how do you feel about the current state of supermodels? We're now in a day and age where models are being like the Gigi Hadids, the Winnie Harlows, the upcoming models. Because again, you ladies are the it girls, the Christy, the Linda, the Naomi, the Cara, the Cindy. Um, you ladies are the original supermodels, but how do you feel about the next generation of supermodels coming up?
I think that they're amazing. I think that when I see Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid walk and the Jenner,
Yeah,
I think that they look awesome. And obviously, Cara Delevingne is such a force to be reckoned with. She's so interesting and fun, you know. And so I think they're awesome. I think that good for them. It's good. I like to see girls with that kind of spunk and personality work. I'm glad for them. I don't have any resentment about it at all. I mean, you know, I'm a mom and my mom taught, and I have a lot of sisters and I wasn't raised to be envious of people. It's, you know, the buck is passed and now it's their turn and, you know, they're doing it. They're living it and they look good to me. So,
yeah.
all right. Thank you.
You are so welcome. It was such an honor having you here. And what advice would you give to young girls that are looking like myself? Yeah, I'm a woman now, but growing up, you ladies literally were my superheroes. So, what advice would you give to young girls that look up to you like myself? Coming into their womanhood, that have watched throughout your career, that want to say, okay, I want to get into fashion or I want to be a model because I know it's not easy. It's a lot that comes with it.
Right. I still think it's a far safer atmosphere than it was at our time. They're also more careful about people's age. They don't want girls to start when they're too young unless they're completely supervised by their mothers. Like, you know, Christy started when she was 14 and her mother went with her because otherwise you just throw them to the wolves. So as long as things are a lot more exposed now. And so you know it, and be realistic with yourself. And, you know, you have to, it's not for someone who's lazy, who can't do it. It's not for someone who does, you have to have energy and you'll have a good work ethic. You know, you can't, no one came knocking on my door looking for me in Northern California. You know, I went out and found it. And when opportunities came my way, I, I took them and moved from San Francisco to Paris or, you know, so you have to go where it is, you have to go where it is and be willing to work. And it's a positive thing. It's a good way of work. It's a great education for you. And like when you say all these girls became businesswomen because they're smart. A lot of them are very, very intelligent women. And that's why they parlayed into something, you know, bigger for themselves and good for them. You know, Cindy is no dummy, you know. So
And supermodels are writing books. There's so many things out here that can help you. And again, shout outs to Bobo. Bobo, thank you so much, my love, for sending me information on Cara. I knew a lot about her, but it's facts that I'm learning from you as well too. So we all can educate each other in the fashion world. And it doesn't have to be where like, ooh, where we're like, at each other, but educating each other and helping each other out as
I
well.
agree with you.
And
I don't go at people. I'm not about that negative stuff at all. So, and I'm glad that you brought a positive thing to me. So I was like, oh my God, this someone's going to hate me and attack me for something. And you didn't ask me anything wrong or inappropriate. And I appreciate that.
no, my platform is based on beauty and fashion, and I wanted to just go back in time with you. It's Throwback
Okay.
Thursday, and I wanted to go back in time and look at your photos and talk about your career because you're, again, one of my favorite supermodels. I can't say it
Thank
enough.
you.
And Bobo says, Cara for RuPaul's Drag Race Judge.
All right, then. You have a good time. Oh, I got to get out of here. It's getting hairy in here. But it's so
Take
nice to
care.
see you.
You too. Such an amazing time with you. Take care.
I love.
All right, ladies and
Oh, so
gentlemen, Cara
cute.
Young.